Hey class, this is Mrs. Topete-Gonzales, and we're going to be learning about pollination. Before we get started, we'll be watching a short YouTube video about pollination and what it means. Our essential question for this lesson is, why are bees important to our environment? And our learning goal is, we will learn that bees are vital to our environment because they play a big role in helping plants reproduce. First question is, what is pollination? Does anyone know what that means? Let's say it together. Pollination. Pollination is the process that allows plants to reproduce. In some cases, the wind and rain blows pollen between plants, which causes pollen to transfer to the female reproductive part of a plant. But did you know plants also rely on bees and other insects to make this happen? Let's go over a couple of vocabulary words. The word reproduce. Reproduce means to produce another living thing of the same kind. Pollen. Pollen is a fine powder produced by flowers, and pollen causes plants to form seeds. Pollination. Pollination is a process that allows plants to reproduce, and here again we have the word reproduce. Stamen is the male part of the flower where the pollen is made. And the pistils are the female part of the flower where the pollen is used to make seeds. So flowers use pollen to make seeds through a process called pollination. Whoa! However, there are some flowers that don't have stamens or pistils. The pollen cannot move by itself, so it needs help from pollinators. Does anyone have any idea of what a pollinator is? A honeybee is a pollinator, correct? Good. So what we're going to be doing today is a pollination experiment. For this experiment, your hand will be the bee. There will be a hive, which is the home to the honeybees. There will be some flowers, big and beautiful, and the flowers will produce the pollen, and there will be some pollen on those flowers, and in this experiment, the pollen will be powder from Cheetos. And now it's our turn. So here we are. Remember I said our hand is going to be our bee. And our bee is flying around looking for some food, looking for some pollen. And he finds this huge flower with a bunch of pollen in it. Starts digging around. And if you look closely, really get in there, you'll notice there's a bunch of pollen on my fingers. So the bee keeps flying and finds another flower. And it goes and it gets some pollen from that one too. And if you look closely, some of the pollen that I collected from the previous flower is on the second flower. Then the bee flies to the third one and does the same thing, collects pollen, and then flies all the way back to their hive to drop off everything she collected. And then she leaves the hive and starts all over again, back to finding more pollen to gather for her hive. Now the process of the bee collecting the pollen, taking it from flower to flower, helps reproduce and make more plants or flowers. Now once you have finished this, you'll pull out your science journal and you'll tell me, what did you observe? In your science journal, write an entry telling me about the procedure you followed in this experiment and what you observed. Finally, tell me, in your own words, why bees are so important to our environment. When you have completed the task, turn your science journal in to the science basket. Good job.